Συνεχίζουμε με το επόμενο πάνελ. Το θέμα μας είναι AI in Education. Θα ήθελα να καλέσω την Υπουργό Παιδείας και Religious Affairs. Let me talk in English. Let me call on floor the Minister of Education and Religious Affairs, Mrs. Sofia Zaharaki. Minister, please join us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Λοιπόν, from Cisco, the Director of Country I always κάνω σαρδάμ σε αυτό. Digitization. Sarah Hadjitourian.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
You have the name of a famous composer.
Yes.
And Mrs. Evgenia Bozu is the Head of Government Affairs and Public Policy, Google, Greece, Cyprus, and Malta. So we have 40 minutes at our disposal. Let's try to make 3 or 4 rounds of questions. 3 minutes, up to 4 minutes each answer in order to cover the more topics. And let me start with you, Minister. How is AI transforming education in Greece today?
Well, I would
Λίγο
say
ησυχία, κυρίες και κύριοι, και στην είσοδο. Ευχαριστούμε.
people are, welcoming this exchange of views. So, I mean, they're more than willing to share it. But we are taking this time today. And, of course, with these amazing interlocutors, I've been reading your CVs. Of course, I know Eugenia, and we have communicated and cooperated a lot. And in the beginning, I would like to first say thank you to all the companies here in Greece that have been so insightful and so ready and willing to help us during the COVID time. So in order to be talking about today and the present state of AI and how it can transform, or if it has transformed education, we have to go back and see where we started and see that we rapidly and at a very violent pace, if I may add. Back in 2020, I was their Deputy Minister of Education, together with the then Minister, Niki Kerameos. We had to change the physical, what we knew up until then, traditional way of teaching, to something that had to be more impersonal. We had to use our tablets. We had to use, of course, the platforms. And thank you, WebEx, for that. It was so important that we could very quickly move this to something that was completely new. And then, little by little, year by year, and then with my predecessor, Kyriakos Pyrakakis, and now...
Κύριε Θεμιστοκλέους, θέλετε να μιλάτε έξω από την αίθουσα? Ακούγεται το πηγαδάκι εκεί. Ευχαριστώ πολύ. Please carry on.
No worries, no worries. I remember fondly, and of course, and I appreciate and I note all the previous ministers' contribution to that we are able to come here today, and I'm able to share the things that they started, that I continue, of course, with the addition of all the interactive boards, so we can start talking about using AI within the classroom. The addition of more than 38,000 whiteboards in more than 7,000 schools, and we continue up until the end of this school year. More than 12,000 boards will have been added to the classrooms that were not yet fully equipped with these learning systems. And we have interactive digital spaces that are now being designed with the funds of the RRF. The RRF, for those coming from the States, is the European money that was given by the European Commission to tackle all the epidemic and tackle the COVID. So we were able to use a large part of that. We funneled this into a public school system. So these whiteboards and then the interactive systems, these digital learning scenarios, and the videos that use AI in order to make learning more fun. While, again, I appreciate the contribution of companies like Google and Microsoft that we use alongside OpenAI, we use in order to educate our educators, for them to be able to know what this new learning space is, and for them to feel less afraid. Because you do realize that we, as a teacher, myself, I am a teacher, yes. And I carry lots of traditional ideas about the teaching classroom should be. There was a lot of friction, and there was a lot of insecurity. So this learning journey of our Greek public school teachers, for them to know and to understand what are the skills and the skill set, and of course, what are the tools to start introducing into the public school classroom with AI tools was, I would say, a demanding task. And it is transforming education, if I am to conclude my reply, in a way that it's becoming, of course, more interactive. It is a wide array of choices for the students to interact, to learn more. We hope that it creates a platform for more creative learning, while at the same time, a more personalized learning. And to that, I also would like to address the needs of children that learn differently. So I believe that AI can also be a platform for the children that have different learning difficulties, and for them it can become a more individualized and more personalized journey.
Thank you very much for your first answer. Minister, I'm sure that you've been the favorite English teacher, everybody's English teacher, η αγαπημένη Αγγλικού όλων. Thank you very much. Let me carry on with you, Mr. Hadziturian. What is your opinion? AI can be a catalyst for modernizing education.
Absolutely, and you can just call me Saro. Mr.
Saro.
Khachaturian, it's going to be tough for you for the next 40 minutes. But before I start, I just want to...
I am a fan of Hadziturian.
That's true, that's
I
true.
think the dance of the, how do you call it?
The saber dance, yeah.
Yes, it's one of the best songs.
So I just want to congratulate the Chamber for putting this together. I think these conversations are so critical. In my role at Cisco, I have the privilege of traveling around the world and having conversations like these, but I can say it's unprecedented to have this much government, industry, and academia all in one place, to have this important two-day dialogue, and so I want to congratulate everyone for putting this on.
And the organizers here,
really remarkable.
Mr. Spirtounia, Mr. Saragakis, well done.
Thank you, and thank you for the invitation. I just want to say, you know, the role of everyone's talking about AI, it's the buzzword, right? And it's really come to public consciousness because of the advent of ChatGPT. But we've seen AI embedded in our equipment for a decade. But really, I think the opportunity, the rising tide that's going to lift all ships is right now. But we're also seeing what's ahead, and that's the quantum era. So we are fixated on AI at the moment, but quantum is next. And I say this because what we need to do as business, academic, and government leaders in this room is skill at the speed of innovation. Innovation is happening at rapid pace. And we cannot sustain that innovation because we don't have the human capital and the human capacity to sustain it. And so I think this is really, I think the European Commission called this the year of skills, and it could not be more true globally. It's not just a European phenomenon. AI has massive potential, but digital inclusion is what's going to determine whether or not those inequalities continue to become exacerbated or whether or not those inequalities are going to shrink. You mentioned a good point about the digital divide. We often associate digital divide to rural versus urban, right? But there's also the neurodivergence aspect. Those with diverse ways of learning, diverse mental capacities, we need to cater to those demographics as well. And it all starts with equality of access. If we don't have basic connectivity, and you're lucky in Greece, by the way, you have some of the highest per capita connectivity of a developed country, but there's still half the world that's not connected to the internet in any meaningful way. All of us in this room, we are the privileged. We are on a rocket ship going to the stratosphere to limitless opportunity. But those who are not connected are going to be left behind. So we have a moral imperative as business, government, and academic leaders in this room to connect the unconnected, full stop. And I think we're doing that. That's why we're all here. Because we can't even begin to talk about AI if we're not connected in any meaningful way. Secondly, what I want to say is that we can't talk about AI unless we talk about cybersecurity or security. It's really important because between now and 2030, we are going to connect 500 billion things. Each of those connections is an opportunity with the right security. Without the right security, it's a vulnerability, it's a threat. I mean, in my line of work,
Afterwards, we have a panel with Mr. Bletsas for this topic, cybersecurity.
Right.
So please join us.
I will, absolutely.
Yeah.
But the point is, as we continue in my line of work to see critical infrastructure become digitized, libraries, criminal justice systems, water treatment facilities, as we digitize those, critical infrastructure, without the right security, we have completely expanded the threat landscape, and we've made ourselves more vulnerable. So we can't even talk about the next generation technology if we haven't embedded foundational security in all aspects of our digitization. I'll stop there because I can go on, but I want to be mindful of time.
Thank you for your first answer. Actually, teens are very enthusiastic about AI for learning. Also, my kids, they're not teens anymore, but they're fan of AI. What is Google's key priority in order for these power AI tools to be both educational and safe, both at school and at home?
Yes, first of all, thank you, Amcham, for the invitation. And as always, every year, it's like a set of very interesting discussions that
Always, yeah.
I wish we had more time to follow, the rest of the discussions, all the panels, starting in the morning. The program was amazing this year. Every time it's even better. So congratulations, Ilia and team, for that. So first of all, from our standpoint, let me say that we are very, very happy and enthusiastic as well, like teenagers, seeing how much
Especially
this technology
very slim and happy.
is endorsed by teenagers, and how much of their creativity, their energy, their imagination, put in there, and what they can create using this technology. So in a way, I feel like education nowadays comes to somehow complement their lives by adding this technology in their educational life as well. Because maybe for them, AI up to now is chatbots at home, is fun, is, I don't know, Nano Banana, where they can create videos, or VO3, or whatever. So when you add this in the classroom, with the right, of course, protections, education, and the right equipment and tools, which is something that we see the Greek government and the Greek Ministry of Education is doing, then you have simultaneously an advantage for the Greek students, I think. They know the technology, but then you unlock different ways for them to use it. And also it comes with, let's say, empowering and showing them different ways they can incorporate this technology to help them with their learning. Of course, the individual learning at each student at their own pace, I think it's very, very important. Also, and from a recent research we did in more than 7,000 teenagers across Europe, we discovered that the main reason they use like generative AI is for research for their homework. And so you can understand the wealth of knowledge and the access to information these kids can have, and how much they can enrich their everyday school life. It's not just fun. They can really do something significant with this knowledge. Of course, I think the most important thing here is education itself and how it follows this space, and how we empower the kids and we equip them with the right skills, and the teachers. I was surprised to see that the first day we opened the applications for these trainings for teachers, for the AI experience program we do in collaboration with the Ministry of Education, there were, like in the first 2 or 3 hours, more than 1,000 applications from teachers to enroll and attend these trainings. This is one thing. The other, I think, component is the safe part. So all this technology needs to have safeguards by design, and we can talk about this maybe a bit later. And of course, the education for the families and the teachers to guide teenagers and even younger kids to stay safe. And I think the ministry did a very, very promising announcement on that front, on the empowerment of families. I think
Yes,
I will let you talk about it, Sophia.
And let's carry on with this. Responsibly and safely AI in schools. What can you do? How can we ensure that?
First of all, we have a long way in order
Yes.
to be, very real about the potential of the now state of play of the Greek classroom to say that AI is in the classroom. We are moving towards an era that we can be using more, let's say, tools, simple tools, because we need to take very simple steps in the beginning and then trying, let's say, to evolve them. We have to build trust, and trust should be built among the whole community, among the students who use the AI tools, and they have to use them responsibly. Of course, creative thinking has to be always prioritized. The teacher is not to be replaced. Of course, the teacher is to be complemented. And original thinking and original homework cannot be underestimated. It should be the source of the content that, of course, is to be deployed afterwards.
But how can you build the right balance between creative thinking, which is the main ζητούμενο σήμερα?
Yes, you cannot dictate that. And of course, there is no magic wand, because creative thinking was always and is always the first takeaway that a proper education system should be, of course, let's say, aiming at. So right now, with the multiple sources of learning, of course, multiple books, and that becomes a digitized form. And now with the use of AI through the existing tools and the ones that we are looking forward to creating, it is something that can be the most amazing platform for them to develop that. And of course, the teacher themselves, after they are educated, they can deeply be involved, of course, and immersed in trying to evoke more creative thinking by the students, even using the AI tools. So there is a balance that has, I think, been pursued and always and achieved in certain classrooms. I'm not saying in most public classrooms, because then I would be exaggerated. But let me go back to something that Evgenia just mentioned. And of course, this is the role of the parents, because we can, of course, always organize seminars that are immediately sold out by the teachers. They are very enthusiastic. And again, I urge you, the people coming from the large companies here, to keep offering us these opportunities for learning journeys for our teachers. They are more than happy to participate, and you will see them producing lots of interesting material that can be used on a later note. And then the families. We now launching this Connected Parents. It's a new program for parents to be educated if you can use. It's not like the former parent school, but it is a learning platform where parents can be educated about different challenges, modern day challenges. Of course, mental health is very much a central priority. Also, bullying and school, let's say, challenges, teenage evolution things, and of course, the cybersecurity topic will be one of the main pillars alongside learning basic tools of AI. So please, again, I urge you, you are always at the forefront of aiding us at the Ministry of Education, Sports and Religion towards meeting today and modern challenges, and I urge you to continue doing so. We will be very happy to continue supplying our schools everywhere in Greece, be able to meet the divide, because you know what, the divide here for us is, of course, something that can be tackling the neurodivergent situations, but the geographical divide for us is very important. We have the most remote islands and the most mountainous areas. We have schools with 1 or 2 students and very, let's say, populated schools in the city center of 25 or 25 students per classroom. So we also have to tackle the connectivity and the divide and the digital divide, but at the same time meet the challenges of being able to equip every child, regardless of where they have been born, and the special skills that they carry, with meeting these challenges.
Yes, thank you very much, Minister. And I would, Sarah, I would love your comment on digital inclusion and equitable access.
Yeah, it's critical. We said we have a moral imperative to connect the unconnected, full stop. I think digital inclusion is going to determine whether or not those inequalities widen or if they shrink. And it starts in this room, having industry, academia, and government together. I think what I wanted to add on to the minister's comment was the fact that in addition to all of the work that's being done in primary education, what AI is doing is going to transform the how. We as humans still need to know the why and then why not, right? That critical thinking, that ethical lens, AI cannot apply that to its toolbox. AI is a tool that we can use, but it's not going to replace how we leverage it and the ethical and moral reasoning that we apply to it. And so my boss actually came up with this, which was interesting. He expects there to be a surge in the humanities and social sciences at the post-secondary level because those are the original prompt engineers. Learning how to ask questions, how to understand, and how to reason. We cannot effectively leverage AI if we don't have those prerequisite tools to do so. So I think that's interesting. And then the other element I wanted to add on is we're looking at this from a workforce perspective at Cisco, for example. We're a company of 90,000 employees. Like every tech company, we go through layoffs, it's cyclical, right? Every 8 to 12 months, hopefully longer. What can we do to make our workforce more resilient? And part of that is revolutionizing and transforming the way we learn. And I think that's interesting because if you have an employee and you create a bespoke pathway for them to acquire the skills as they're working so that they become resilient, you can upskill and reskill them while they're still employed, and that makes you more resilient. Now, you apply that same methodology to a country. If a government can get that right, that's what's going to determine their competitiveness, their GDP growth, and all the economic benefits that come with it. Again, it goes back to skilling at the speed of innovation, but it starts with a transformation of how we learn. Learning is not going to be a 4-year degree, you get a piece of paper and you trade it in for a job. It has to be continuous because technology is changing so rapidly. We have to learn to embed learning in our day-to-day lives so that we carve out maybe a couple hours a week. I don't know what the future will hold, but it's going to need to be deeply embedded in how we live. Learning needs to be incorporated into our daily lives. And that's what we're seeing, and that's how we want to apply it to our workforce as well to make us more resilient.
Thank you very much. Given Google's role as tool provider, do you have any specific concrete tools or support to highlight in order to help parents and policymakers, to help the teens have this healthy balance?
Okay, first of all, I think it's always about balance, like in everything we are discussing.
Especially.
Is it AI? Is it like screen time? Is it, I don't know, indoor education, outdoor, contact with nature, and all these things that balance, let's say,
Yes, but with AI it's difficult to find the balance.
So
it's very difficult
now,
to use your mind.
And it's more crucial than ever to find it because exactly the technology is moving really, really fast. So as Google, first of all, and I think I mentioned it before, we believe that the product itself, the tools itself, should incorporate these securities and have these guardrails in place. For example, the version of the chatbots we are offering for the under 18 have certain restrictions by default that will not allow, the machine to reply or expressing feelings or validate feelings, so that a kid or a teenager doesn't mistake the chatbot for a friend, for example. It will immediately stop the discussion or the replies if it understands that the person is searching for ways to harm themselves or weight loss or whatever. So it will immediately offer a helpline or and stop the discussion. And these are securities by default. So we don't risk having extreme or very dangerous situations. The same goes with persona protection. For example, our tools do not allow the generation of images that could be like a sexualization of the teenager, which is, I think, also important. And in the beginning of this journey, we saw this incidents of teenagers and kids being, their pictures out there from AI-generated tools in a very, very sexualized way. And I think this is also illegal. So, but it is important that the tools have these securities incorporated. And then it's the part of, let's say, providing the tools like parental controls, time limits, and everything a family needs to have to craft their own flexible digital habits according to their own needs, to their family needs. And we think this is also important given, the maturity of the child, the relationship with the parents, the ages of the different kids maybe within the same family. We don't think that, a kid should be treated like a kid, a teenager like a teenager, a tween, this age right before 18, it's a totally different case. So different maturity, different needs, and a family should be empowered to craft and make their own digital habits. And then, of course, it's, like we mentioned before, education. So programs like the Be Internet Awesome, Γίνε ήρωας του διαδικτύου, που διδάσκεται στα ελληνικά σχολεία, is, identifying cyberbullying, identifying false news, misinformation, other patterns that are dangerous or, create wrong impressions to the kids. All these are very important. And of course, I believe that this kind of education should also be directed to teachers, students, but also families, to parents.
Yeah, that's very important, the families and the parents in general, to be part of this discussion. Yeah. Okay, Minister, let me carry on with you, and let's talk about the key ethical principles as far as AI use in schools are concerned.
Before getting there,
I
would talk about, the emergent need, the urgent need for fairness. And when I say fairness, it's about those equal opportunities that have to be offered to everyone. That's why that was the last verse I used in the previous question, that it should be offered to everyone, everywhere, no matter where you were born, where your school is, or whether you have enough equipment or not. It should be offered on part of the public, so we shouldn't decline of our, let's say, basic obligation and requirement in order for every school and every child to be offered such an opportunity. And I'd say fairness.
How close you are in order to succeed that?
I talked about the provision of the whiteboards by the end of this year, so every classroom is to be equipped with one. Right now we're offering, let's say, that to almost 50% of them, 60% of them, alongside those robotic sets. So something that changes the whole approach to learning.
Are the teachers well educated in order to be able to use AI during the class?
They're being educated, and Evgenia just mentioned different, tutoring systems and tutoring lessons, and I said, and I want to again thank all the companies that offer that. I mean, we're in close cooperation with Google, with Microsoft, with OpenAI, with Cisco, with many companies and enterprises that are now offering that to our teachers, and they follow that. And it's just they do.
They do
and
their homework,
and it's not a random thing, and it's not a firework thing, because they want to have not just a CV that contains just a verse that says I followed that, but they want to apply that. They are seeking for easy steps in order to gain this confidence and be able then to evolve in using more AI methods and tools in their classrooms. But first of all, they need basics. So if you were to talk with some people coming from schools in more remote areas, they would say that we need the equipment, we need now, so we need to be fair in using, let's say, technology and AI in education. We need to be transparent. And of course, the ethical use is something that requires a lot of transparency in using that as much as we can. Accountability is a very important part. And of course, when we also talk about the protection of data, it is something that should be very intrinsic in one of the key principles that are to be, of course, fully elaborated and discussed in approaching the introduction of AI in our classrooms. So last but not least, I would say also the human dimension of that, that it is something that simply and mainly could retain this human approach to learning alongside this complement of talking about AI, but it is directed at people and it is created this why and why not, as you very well mentioned, the prompts that should be used again by people. So I think that this combination is something that could create a platform in the whole discussion about AI in the Greek public school system. And I'm talking about public school system that it is even more demanding, because usually private schools, they were able to access in a swifter, let's say, in a quicker note, this evolution, let's say, that we have been dealing with in the past few years, also in Greece, European, and of course international.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Minister. Let's go again to Cisco, and I would like, I have also my notes here, my skonakια. Λοιπόν, let's talk about Cisco's Networking Academy's role.
Sure. Cisco Networking Academy is one of the world's longest-standing skills-to-jobs programs in the world. We've trained 28 million learners in 192 countries, and I think there's only like 195 flagged countries, so we have learners everywhere. And I think this hits to the minister's point about democratizing access. We typically go to market with our curriculum through a partner academy, so an in-person classroom style, but we also have completely for free online platform. And what's really cool about that is you can be self-paced, you can be a taxi driver. Actually, I don't want to use the taxi example, probably not the right time. But you could be a barber, you could be a librarian, and if you want to upskill in your own free time, maybe you don't want to cut hair anymore, you can get your micro-credentials and become a networking, cybersecurity, software development professional.
So easily.
It's really cool. But what AI has done to our programming and our curriculum is we're now embedding things like an AI tutor, so that if you are in a remote island and you don't have access to a classroom, or if you're studying at midnight and you're stuck on a problem, you can actually just ask the AI tutor for help. So you're not deprived of that experience of being inside a classroom because you live far away or because you have to work 3 jobs to put food on the table. It's leveling the playing field, and I think that's where the opportunity of AI comes in through a program like our Cisco Networking Academy. So I just think we are one company, Cisco is one company, but we're here alongside our peers, Google, Microsoft, Salesforce. We all have our own skills, curriculum, our programming, and it takes all of us collectively working and steering in the same direction to achieve the outcome that we want, and that's to scale at the speed of innovation so that we can make our countries, our economies more competitive, we can be more socially inclusive, and we can have new participants in the workforce of the future. That's what it all comes down to. I mean, I have young kids, and, you know, my mom wanted me to be a doctor or a lawyer. I don't know if I necessarily want that for my kid. You know, I want them to pursue careers that are so they can be participants in the new digital economy. And so I think taking a Cisco Networking Academy course to pique their curiosity, get them into STEM at a young age, I think that's the future, because that's what we're seeing is going to make our economies, our workforces more resilient.
Are you afraid of the effect of AI to your children?
Listen,
That kills, AI actually kills mindful thinking or creative thinking.
I think fear, I mean, personally, I think fear stifles creativity and innovation. And I think if people are fearful of the promise of technology and innovation, then we won't achieve progress. That's just my opinion. You have to take risk. You have to be bold. And if there are negative consequences to AI, sure, my children may be victim of that, but so will so many others. And I think it's because we have people and leaders like ourselves in this room who can help chart a new path and a brighter future for them. So I actually have confidence in the leadership that's at the helm of countries around the world and school boards and like the minister over here. People like that in leadership roles, I think we can mitigate some of the risk that comes with AI and that fear associated with it.
Thank you very much. Evgenia, your thoughts on regulatory, or regulatory? What is the tone, teacher? Regulatory efforts.
It's fine, don't
Regulatory
worry.
efforts.
When you communicate it, it's fine, everybody understands.
Yes, but I have to try, I have to use the right tone. Λοιπόν, your comments on these efforts.
By the way, I'm also a mother, and I think that this generation, Generation A, I think as they call it, are so smart, so fast learners, so, I mean, they have from very early on so many capabilities that, and skills and imagination, and also so many tools to channel this imagination and their thirst for learning and their curiosity, which I think it's natural for all the kids. I mean, they are born with it, and then I think all the adult world somehow tries to kill this curiosity. Maybe sometimes we're just tired of answering their questions. But they are thirsty and they are curious. And I think it is an amazing time to be a kid, having all these tools at your disposal and all this opportunity. For the first time, maybe these generations that are coming will be able to solve problems for humanity that we haven't managed so far. They will be, maybe with a fair use of technology, achieve a world that is fairer. You know, there is food for everyone. They can address climate change. So I'm not really, I see the risks. And this is where maybe regulation and also empowerment come. And when it comes to regulation, we believe as Google that we need a comprehensive and robust regulation when it comes to protecting kids. We also believe that this should be, at least when it comes to Europe, unified across European countries, because it's not possible to achieve a real, let's say, protective framework in a fragmented patchwork-like situation. We also believe that there are already legislations and laws and bills and regulations in place that we need to make sure they are enforced and that are applied correctly across member states and in Greece before we rush to legislate or create new ones. For example, Article 28 of the DSA, according to our opinion, provides enough adequate framework for the protection of minors. Of course, all these are under discussion.
Okay.
But one thing we also believe we should take into account
please
is,
try to conclude.
And I'm concluding, is that you cannot nowadays, I think, deprive teenagers from the places or their online places they want to be, and they have their connections, the exchange of information, their friends, and part of their lives. And this is not going to change because the world has changed and it moves forward. So back to the balance. Yes, we need to protect them. Yes, we also need to respect their will to do what they want to do in a protected, safe way. And we also maybe should try to think how we can counterbalance all this overexposure to screens or technology by offering more things like, you know, free play with their friends, nature, books, and all the other things, because there is a life out there, and we need to provide it as schools, our parents, and teachers.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Since we have only 2 minutes left, allow me to give them to the Minister in order to conclude this discussion.
Oh, well, it's a daunting task, but thank you. Anyway, Amcham, thank you very much for inviting us again and giving us an opportunity and a platform to revisit things that we may be dealing with on a daily basis. We still have to come to terms with all these challenges and see whether we relate to what is happening and will be happening. So I can assure you that every day at the ministry, we work on finding new ways in order to relate to what is really happening and whether we are really providing our children with this amazing skill set that they're already equipped with. They have to know how to use it. They have to know how to ask the right question, use prompts, and be able then to use the toolkit that they can have in a most profitable way for them, while at the same time, while providing for tackling this digital divide, exactly as you mentioned, to provide them with opportunities to escape the screen time if they can have, to use more, ways to just think about the mental health and also think about going out to play, and for us to provide them with renovated, let's say, playgrounds and the best opportunities they have to meet with their friends in safe areas where protection is very much valued and should be secured. Work with their hands and fine motor skills. We use too much screen at the same time. Young people and young children at the age of 4 and 5 have to revisit their fine motor skills. And it is our duty also to be able to introduce curriculum, let's say, ideas and methodologies for them to equip them with that as well, while trying to help them to meet with global challenges. We are now trying to nurture children that may live in Greece, will probably have to work remotely and compete with these global challenges abroad. So we don't want children that are secluded from what is happening. We need them to very much be aligned with what is happening, while at the same time be able to enjoy, those years that will never come back and be prepared from what, of course, it is ahead. And since tomorrow is day for people with disability, I cannot but stress enough the importance of using the digital means and AI in order to help those children that need to learn at a different pace. And we can use AI in those skills that you already do. Let's try to improve them and use them even more in order for every child to feel that they have a fair opportunity to participate in this evolution era.
Υπέροχα. Minister Saro, Ευγενία, thank you very much for your presence. Κυρίες και κύριοι, ευχαριστούμε πάρα πολύ.